surprise adventure to the UK today. I'm flying at like 10 p.m. tonight. It's a 23.5-hour journey. So it's 14 hours to Dubai and then a stopover of a couple of hours and then a 7-hour flight to the UK from there, flying into Manchester Airport. It's my sister Mia's 18th birthday on the weekend, so I'm surprising her, and it's also my sister Miyuki's 11th birthday later on in the month, so I'll be there for that as well. So I'm going to be working from my mum and my family's beautiful farmhouse in the UK, just on the Staffordshire border. And yeah, I'll see you partway through the journey. Welcome to episode 33 of the Little Home Podcast. My name's Bex. I'm coming to you today from the Staffordshire moorlands. I'm at my parents' property farmhouse here visiting, but I normally live just outside of Melbourne in Australia. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been coming up to 2 months since I last recorded, and there's been a lot going on, so it's lovely to have some unexpected time to come and sit with you guys, chat about what I've been working on. I've got a couple of projects with me on this trip that I'd love to share with you guys and just kind of reconnect in with you. I've had some wonderful conversations off of YouTube with some of you, and it's lovely just to be able to chat in this way too. So thank you for being here. You can find me on Instagram as Bex_in_real_life. That's my main kind of creative channel. I also have a channel with my partner Tom for our tiny house build, and that is thelittlehome.oz. I'll have everything written down below so that you can find it easily. I also have lots of projects on Ravelry. My Ravelry name is Rebecca SJS. And yeah, feel free, if you have any questions about any projects in these episodes, please feel free just to comment below, and I'll see your comment and answer when I'm able to. And yeah, I hope you guys are all well and that you're being wonderfully creative in one way or another. And yeah, let's get going. So first I'll just share with you what I'm wearing. This is one of my favourite shawls. And the reason it's my favourite is because it was one of the first neutral or kind of dusty neutral projects that I worked on. It's probably a couple of years old now. And the pattern is called the Stay Soft Shawl. It's a shawl design, it's a 3-colour shawl design by Vera Valimaki. It's a really beautiful shawl design. And I made it out of a couple of different Australian indie dyers. There's Mrs. Click Clack is the 2 main colours, and then this colour on the bottom, I can't remember the designer, she's a botanical dyer from Australia. But it just came out really, really beautifully. It's very, very simple. I've made a couple of these. It has a really nice I-cord edging on the bottom, and I decided to add some quite chunky tassels. And the tassels are actually really nice because it gives a weight to the ends, so they don't kind of slop around too much. And it's just incredibly soft, and it just goes with everything. So this was the beginning of my kind of dive into neutrals a little bit more. And yeah, I love it. It's getting a little bit fluffy. It needs a bit of a de-pilling, but it gets a lot of wear and it's keeping me warm. And yeah, I'm just looking down here because I've got a couple of things that I'm working on. I'll start with this. This is my beautiful new and first ever Fringe Field Bag by Fringe Supply Co. Based out of the US. I picked this up on a recent work trip to Sydney. We went to Skein Sisters, which is a beautiful local yarn shop in Sydney, and I picked this one up as a souvenir. I kind of was intending to get one when I was hanging out with Marie Green, the designer Marie Green, who's also known as Olive Knits, when she came to visit in a couple of months ago now, I think. She had this exact field bag, and I just fell in love. The colours and the design and everything. It's one of their waxed canvas, so it's very sturdy and substantial, and it's got this really beautiful handle as well, so you can kind of walk around. I've been using it almost as a bucket bag because I haven't taken it out much, but you can cinch it together, and I basically had this sitting underneath my airplane chair whilst travelling from Australia to England. So as you can imagine, that was 23 hours of fun, and was just knitting away. And it was I could fit like my noise cancelling headphones. There's just so much space in here, and loads of different pockets. It's even got something I didn't realise it had, but it's super cool. I don't know if you can see down here, but it's got these kind of rivets with holes in them. Really hard to show you. Just down here. And I think the idea is that you can use them for colour work, so you can use up to 3 colours, there's 3 of them, and have balls of yarn kind of placed in there going through the holes so that they don't get tangled together, which is a really, really cool idea. I haven't ever done that before. So yeah, this is my beautiful new project bag. It's definitely worth the money. This cost, I think, maybe $108 Australian dollars. Around about, I think that would be, with the current exchange rate, would be around about £60. So it's definitely a chunk of money, and it's something that had put me off from purchasing one previously, even though I've heard quite a lot of good things about them. But just the feel of them and just how useful they are, I would really recommend it. And they're beautiful. Seriously well crafted. Anyway, so that's my new project bag. I'm a bit in love, as you might guess. Inside of here, I'm working on a Raglan cardigan. Any of you guys who have followed me for a while might have heard me say I was never, ever, ever going to knit another Raglan cardigan ever again. The reason for that was I knit a 4-ply Raglan cardigan. It was called Risen, I think. It was by Melanie Berg. It's a beautiful, beautiful pattern, but I think for me and my body shape, I must have relatively wide shoulders or something, but that cardigan just did not fit me. The Raglan Increases. If you think about a Raglan construction, actually the dress I'm wearing, it's a jersey dress, but I'll see if you can see. It's got a Raglan increase here. If you see how wide those Raglan increases are. Now with the Risen cardigan that I knit a couple of years ago now, maybe 3 years ago, the Raglan increases start from maybe 1 stitch, I think, at the top and gradually increase down. And that meant that the increases pretty much sat at the very top of my shoulder. And really, for a raglan increase to fit accurately, they should be further down here. It might not be an issue for a lot of people. I had the same issue with the, what's it called? It's a pattern by Hannah Fettig, Featherweight, that's it. I had the same issue with that, so it might well be that it just doesn't work for my body shape, but I definitely need raglans that have a wider starting number of stitches on the shoulder, just so that the increases are further down and more evenly spaced out. So I had thought that I wouldn't ever knit a Raglan cardigan because of my experience with that. I ended up frogging a 4-ply long line cardigan. That was a lot of purling. And I still actually have the yarn at home. It's a beautiful mustard coloured yarn. I think it was a BFL mix. I'm just blanking on the name of the indie dyer, but anyway. So I have that at home and I'll end up doing something lovely with that. But yes, so I found this pattern. It's a pattern by Along Avec Anna. She's a French designer currently living in the UK, and I kind of fell in love with it, to be honest. It's a very, very simple construction, but I love the fact that it has a raglan. It's got these beautiful lace panels where the raglan increases go. Really simple, but it has, if you see here, can you see how many stitches are between those starting points of the raglans on the shoulder? So it means that the raglan starts far enough down my shoulder to be able to fit comfortably on my arm. So it actually fits really, really well. The other thing with this is a lot of raglan cardigans that I've seen and also knit myself, I've knit a few now and they've never really fully worked for me. They all seem to be quite wide opening, which seems to aggravate the fact that the shoulders and the arms don't fit so well on me. They just have a tendency of literally just slipping off my shoulders. So with this one, the way that Anna has constructed it, you can see the raglan increase is just here. So this is where my shoulder would be. And then she's working a normal raglan increase and then she's adding stitches on so that it actually closes at the front. Now, I'm not the kind of person that would ever really wear a closed cardigan. I might not even end up putting a button band on this just because of that. But the fact that it's actually intended to close at the front means that it's so much more likely to stay on my shoulders. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this design. So I'm just going to have a drink. I've got a little bit of a cold. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. It's a really lovely knit. I did a fair chunk of this on the plain, a fair chunk of the body, and I'm currently finished with one sleeve. It's a long kind of 3/4 length sleeve with a twisted rib or half twisted rib. And yeah, I'm just working on the second sleeve at the moment. I'm using my higher. These ones are actually sharps. I have a regular higher interchangeable set that I picked up secondhand from a friend of mine from my old work. I've actually been adding to my collection with some higher sharps, which I think I actually prefer. I've been picking these up from my friend Emily's beautiful yarn shop in Brunswick in Melbourne called Maker Store. If you're ever in the Brunswick area or northern suburbs of Melbourne, do come and check it out. It's beautiful. So I have been working away on this. It's a super, super simple pattern. It's kind of mindless. And yeah. At the front as well, it has this really beautiful kind of wheat style lacy effect as well. So what I've done, because I'm using, I'll tell you about the yarn that I'm using. I am using this beautiful ethical Australian merino. It's the base is by White Gum Wool, but it's indie dyed by Jenna of Nunabar Yarns. I picked this up at Soulcraft Festival this year. and it's very, very subtly dyed. It looks almost neutral, but I'll show you. It's got some beautiful, stop these from clicking, got some beautiful speckles in there, all kind of quite autumnal tones with some random spots of vibrant red and pink in there as well. It's just beautiful. You can see some more on there as well. So not only is it sustainable, ethical, mulesing free, all that good stuff, but it's also dyed by a really lovely lady that I got to meet when we were in Sydney as well. And yeah, I'm just incredibly happy with how this cardigan is turning out. The speckles are really subtle. They almost look like a fleck. I love the idea of speckles. I was chatting about this with someone recently. I love the idea of speckles, but I always seem to love them more when they're in the skein than when I knit with them. But subtle speckles like Jenna's, or there's some other really wonderful indie dyers who do really subtle speckles. Julie of Sweet Sparrow knits, and also I'm just blanking on her name. That's so bad. Woolberry Fibre Co. Completely blanking, sorry. They do really beautiful soft speckles similar to this. But yeah, I'm just so happy with how this is coming out. It's very easeful, relaxing. It's quite a meditative and mindless knit, which is what I need at the moment. So very, very happy with how this is turning out. So yeah, what I've done is, because I only had 2 skeins of this 4-ply, it's a very lofty, light 4-ply, so there's actually quite a lot of meterage in here. I'll show you the band. This is Jenna's wonderful yarn bands. So the colourway is Nougat, so this kind of natural base with the beautiful kind of autumnal speckles, and it's a 4-ply, and there's 472 meters per 100 grams, so it's kind of like it's very light 4-ply, or light fingering weight is what you'd call it in the US. It's non-superwash, and so it's a gentle machine wash, and all that good stuff. But I did have 2 skeins of this. So what I've done is I got the body down to probably just about my waist, my natural waist. My natural waist is quite high, it's around about here. And so I got it down to just about my natural waist, and then I started working on the sleeves, got them to a comfortable space. So the sleeves hit me around about here, which is where my sleeves always end up hitting me. And then I will finish those off and see how much yarn I have left. So I've got this much left, so I think I'll be fine. I've got another kind of 3/4 of a sleeve to go, and then I'll finish the body down to probably a relatively cropped cardigan to go over dresses and things like that. And yeah, I'll save this one for the button band, I think, or a chunk of this for the button bands and around the neck, just to make sure I have enough for that. But I'm really happy with how this is coming along. It's a really beautiful project to be working on. I came with 2 projects. I ended up frogging one out and working on a design with it. I'll show you that next. But this has been my main project for the last probably month and a half, I would say. So that is currently living in my fringe bag very happily. And you can see how much space is in here. Like, that's a cardigan's worth, and there is so much space in here. So you can really fit a good jumper in this bag. I know that Karen Templar, who's the owner of the Fringe Supply Co., is in the process of getting some bigger ones of these made, which I think will be dropping around about Christmas time. And I've got a little bit of an obsession now, so when I was deciding on this one, I was pretty much tied between this. She's got a beautiful kind of tan coloured, like light brown tan coloured variant, and a cream coloured one as well. I kind of fell in love with the waxed ones. The other ones are a little bit softer, and for me personally, I didn't feel as special as the waxed ones. but I'm pretty tempted to pick up one of her bigger versions at some point when I've got a bit more money. Christmas maybe, who knows. My final project that I've got to share with you is a design project. I started this 2 days ago now, after some big news that rocked my socks off. So it's called the Restful Shawl, and it's called the Restful Shawl for a reason. So it's living in this little leopard print and red bag that I absolutely love. This is made by a friend of mine who I used to work with at a yarn shop in Melbourne. It's really beautiful. It's very soft, but sturdy and substantial. I love with her project bags she uses some interfacing, so they do sit up on their own, but she's just got wonderful colour and pattern. It's just heaven. So I started working on the Akemi shawl, which is a triangular shawl by Isabel Kramer, and I got a fair chunk of the way through, but it just wasn't gelling with me. It's a very, very simple design, quite graphic, and then it has these big chunks of lace in it. And for some reason, I just love this yarn so much, and it just wasn't gelling with me. So once this news hit and I just needed something to be making and working on, you know how it is, I just had the designing bug again for the first time in a really, really long time. I've had no time for the past probably 6 to 8 months. So as soon as I had more time, I was like, right, come on then. And the designing bug hit me. And so this is my Restful Shawl design. It's coming out so beautifully. I've put a few photos up on Instagram and everyone's been so positive about it. So thank you so much. It's a more of an accurate colour representation here. It's a very orangey, bricky tone. The yarn is just beautiful. You would have heard me talking about it before, but it's by Knitcraft and Knittery. So Morgan is a wonderful indie dyer. She was based out of Tasmania. She's now back, I think, in Ohio. Ooh, she's in one of the states in the US again, which is her homeland. So she's headed back home. So if you are based in the US, then do try and check her out. She'll have different bases now, I imagine. But it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Her colours, you know, when you find a indie dyer who just gels with your colours, like I could knit something out of all of her yarns. If you're in Australia, then consider purchasing her yarn from Maker. Emily's based out of Brunswick, but she has a website, so you can purchase her yarn still from there. She loves Knitcraft and Knittery so much that she's doing the international postage from the US still, which is lovely. It's definitely worth it. So before Morgan headed off, I think it was one of the last batches of her Australian kind of batches, I picked up 2 skeins of Murphy Brown, which is this beautiful, totally not being represented accurately. I wonder if I can get it more accurate. Kind of bricky terracotta-y colour. This is the yarn that I have ripped out from the other shawl. And I've got 2 skeins of this. It's 100 grams of fingering weight yarn. There's 400 meters per 100 grams. So I've got 800 grams to play with this design. And my intention is to go quite big with it. Keeping it super, super simple. I've got some plans for some other textures to be included. And I've got a lace border that I've been wanting to use for quite a long time on a design. But I just love the yarn overs and these poms. They're so beautiful. Bobbles, whatever you want to call them. Nice big bobbles. And yeah, this just represents easefulness for me and relaxation, and a lot of the times it's why we knit and it's why we create, is it brings us back to that place of calm and grounding, and that's what this is doing for me at this time, which is really amazing. So that's where I've got to so far. I can't wait. I am just knitting frantically on it, so I imagine it will be finished relatively soon. I've got a lot more time on my hands in the UK than I ever thought I would, so I've got another week or so before I head back to Australia, so I am kind of knitting away on this, and it's bringing me so much joy, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys. And thank you so much if you follow me on Instagram and you're just sending me love. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I've had a change of work circumstances. I'm no longer working for making things. It came as a big surprise, and so it's a lot of change going on, but I'm really excited for the next chapter. And yeah, so just know that I'm not working with them anymore. I can't wait to see what I do next. And there are some potential plans of me working at Maker store in Brunswick, which will be really fantastic. I actually really miss working in a yarn store. I worked at Morris & Sons in Melbourne city centre for on and off about 3 years, and though it's retail and it comes with all of the fun of retail, it's so amazing just to chat with people who are excited about learning and excited about projects, and just being part of the community is just so amazing. It's such a warm and just warm-hearted community I'm so happy to be a part of. So onwards and upwards and on to good things. So I'll be going back to Melbourne on the 5th, and our tiny house, which my partner and I are building. If you've followed along for a while, you'll know that we have been frantically building our tiny house since January. It's been a very big project. I've been working away on earning lots of money for our tiny house, and the project's almost finished now, which is so exciting. Tom's still in the UK, building away, and then he'll be heading off and working a season. He has very seasonal work which will start in mid-November, so he'll be doing that. I'll be finding a new job somewhere somehow, and moving into our tiny house, which is really, really exciting. So I'll be sharing more about that in the near future, but the next episode might well be coming from my tiny house sofa, which is very exciting. But yeah, lovely to chat with you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far, and you've got a nice weekend to come with some relaxing projects and crafts. And I'll speak to you guys again soon.